So one of the cool things about going on these tours on these Jeep tours is that there's so much information about this area, and not just the energy vortexes, which people can go, oh, that's just woo-woo stuff, but there's some real, let's just say, people in the military that visit quite frequently. In fact, one of the ranches here called the Bradshaw Ranch, I'll do a video about it later, it was bought by the government because there was, known to be by the ranch owner so many, she would call them portals or to different dimensions, and also orbs and maybe alien visitations, whatever. Anyway, the government bought the entire ranch, and it's huge, and has made it private property so no one can get near it. I mean, you can go in it. There's a video I found on YouTube that I'll share later that you can go in it. But so on this tour, one of the really interesting tour guides who's been doing this for quite a while shares a story of him talking to someone that, let's just say, unveiled some interesting things about a high frequency kind of equipment used for the military. And let me just let him tell you the rest. It's really good.
It seems like they're all right with it. And he says, because when we did our hyperspectral scans of the Bermuda Triangle, we discovered the null zone in there that where there's no plant life, no animals will go, nothing.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, who has access to do a hyperspectral scan of the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Yeah. Got to work for the military.
Yeah, I know.
He has to work for the military.
Has to.
Did you ask him?
Well, yeah, we eventually got there, but I mean, he told me he ran a think tank in Washington, but he lives in Virginia, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's normal.
All right. And now I started telling him about some of the research I've been doing, and building some magnetic field generators and some devices that have, I built one like room-sized device that set up this standing waveform that was pretty potent enough to have TVs turn themselves on.
You set that up?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
When they're unplugged from the wall. And so I showed him some pictures of one of the devices. Anyways, we're going kind of tit for tat, back and forth.
Yeah.
And he starts asking me if I found any like strange rocks here that don't look like they're from this planet. And then he's like, hey, and did they have any strange like script writing on them and stuff? I'm like, okay.
I'm not reading
okay. All right. Now, I don't know if you ever seen a movie called The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Say what?
Have you ever seen a movie called The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Not all the way through.
Okay, it's kind of a little bit of a slapsticky, but it has a disclaimer at the beginning. More of this movie is true than you think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
And it's about the U.S. Army's Psychic Warrior program.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he asked me if I seen that, and I'm like, yeah. And I looked at him. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, he was one of the dudes that ran that program. So I'm like, okay.
Wow.
We keep going back and forth. Eventually we get down to the bottom of the tour. It was a lot of fun. And I just have to ask. I'm like, okay, do you got a card? Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to get more information. Yeah, right.
He's like, yeah, and he reaches for it, and then he looks at me. He says, I'm kind of afraid to give it to you.
Oh.
And I says, that's okay, I'm kind of afraid to give you mine. I said, how about we just trade cards and we play nice with each other? And he's like, okay, we can do that. So we traded cards, and then he says, by the way, he says, don't look me up from your home computer or your phone, or you'll be on an instant watch list.
Holy shit.
And I was like, hey, thanks for the heads up. So of course, like
how'd you look him up?
a good little Boy Scout, I went down to the public library and I looked him up from there, right?
Right.
And okay, what I found as far as public record on him, this is just his public record. was he's 30-year program director for the NSA. So
National Security Advisory, right?
So he wasn't he wasn't BSing, you know.
Right, he done it.
No, he's and a few days after he left town, you guys know what an AWACS is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Military.
Yeah, the radar plane,
plane.
that big, like, radar surveillance disc up there. So one of these AWACS, I've never seen an AWACS here in Sedona. It comes in at a low pass. It was flying between 800 and 1,000 feet, and went right up the whole route that I took him on that tour.
You think he was following you?
No, he was getting his hyperspectral scans. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh man, that's what I mean. So while you was talking about it, he was doing it.
No, or this is a few days afterwards.
Oh, a few days after. That's why he was asking.
But he got back to Washington, I'm sure, and then he ordered it up. And I was tempted to email him like, hey, I'll be like, hey, man, can I get a look at those hyperspectral scans?
Yeah.
Because now I bet it's kind of like weird. Now you get into X-Files kind of thing, because you figure that what they could do is, and it doesn't matter whether it's a meteorite that has an aura or whatever, you can go totally full-blown alien, or you can just look at it as space rock type of things. But they'll scan an area that seems to have anomalies around it.
Yeah.
They look for a signature, and then they'll boom, and then they'll go in and whatever, militarize that portion, and who knows what kind of, space rocks that they'll find, or something's emitting some kind of gamma radiation, and because it's an infinity stone, or
Well, you say signature. What does signature mean when they see a signature?
Oh, you'd be looking for an anomaly. So in other words, you go, okay, plants give off this frequencies, this could, and all of a sudden you see something kind of beacon that
it picks up on.
And that is an anomaly. Like, okay, we have no idea what that is.
Right.
But then they'll go get it, and then
quarantine it, and then build
a research facility around it, or
government
whatever.
owns it.
Yep.
And you're not allowed on the Bradshaw Ranch. See how it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Comes full circle.
And there you go.
You never contacted him again, though.
No.
That you know of.
Well, right.
Could be shape-shifting into someone that's training to be a tour guide.
It could.
Come on. Military man, they're 10 steps ahead.